Hey everyone, this is Elise. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Startup Celebrity Show, where we showcase emerging superstars and we share their stories and give to the world. So welcome to another episode. My name is Elise and I'm the host and founder of the thriving Facebook group, The Spiritual Entrepreneurs, where we're hosting more than 17,000 members from around the world. And today, oh my God, I have one of the only few male spiritual entrepreneurs with me today. The group, the Spiritual Entrepreneurs, we welcome both female and male. And in the group, we have, we have very few male. And so today I have one of the few males with me, and his name is Barry. He's originally from London and now living in the USA, Los Angeles. Super excited about that. And so we have Barry with us. Barry is a passionate champion for the divine feminine. He helps strong, successful single women stop shortchanging their love life. He guides women to be honored and respected in love. Wow, that's so interesting. I mean, I used to be a love coach, so it'll be really interesting to hear from a male's point of view. And so without further ado, let's welcome Barry. Hello, Barry. How are you?
I'm good.
So I'm interested to find out more about why did you choose to help women and what's your story? I mean, I know tons of love coaches who are women helping women.
Mostly, yeah.
Actually, very few, there are men coming to me and ask me if, I can help them, but sadly, no, I don't work with men. And I have to applaud men who actually raise their hand and say, I do need help. So why did you choose to help women, and really, what's your story?
Well, starting with where I came from, being raised in England from a somewhat reserved and stoic upbringing. Mm-hmm. In my teenage years, looking back now, I see exactly what was going on, but at the time I didn't realize. In my teenage years, I wasn't one of the guys that the girls went out with. I was on the sidelines watching. But I saw so many of my classmates and fellow students of my age going out with guys that were really hurting them, like girls that were suffering from, and these were inexperienced. I mean, they're teenagers. Mm-hmm. But I saw women choosing men because of looks, because of attitude, but paying the price.
Me too.
Oh, something about you. But I didn't have any tools to work with. I couldn't help them. I wanted to. And frankly, a lot of times I was the shoulder they cried on because I was a safe guy to go to. So even in my teenage years, I had this relationship with women that was this safe place. Mm-hmm. It didn't do much for my love life, but at least it was a place I could support them. Mm. Fast forward into my adult life, I have had quite a few different relationships over the years, some small, some short term, some long term. But I've done a lot of personal growth over the years. I've got a master's degree in spiritual psychology. I've been a spiritual counselor for 16 years. And I kept messing up my relationships still. Like all these skills and things I'd learned, I still wasn't getting it right. Mm-hmm. And the last piece that really what changed my life happened about 9 years ago. And after the breakup of a relationship, the third time in a row, the same sort of experience happened for me. I realized it was my stuff going on, not theirs. Mm-hmm. I was basically getting to clear the point saying, I need help. I know all this stuff, but I can't make a relationship work. What was I doing wrong? And what I discovered, thankfully, through some serendipitous meetings and coincidences, and got to meet some people, I ended up working with a couple of teachers, husband and wife out of Vancouver, who were amazing at defining and clarifying the masculine feminine polarity, mm-hmm. which at that point, I didn't know what that was. I knew about men and women and the gender type thing with the male-female Mars and Venus idea from John Gray, but the masculine feminine polarity and the description, I should say, the uniqueness of each type was something I didn't understand. And once I started with these teachers, and then from there with 3 other teachers after that point, I really deepened my own understanding, and it changed my perspective. In fact, changed my life to the degree that I became clear that I wanted to teach this myself. So for the last 5-6 years or so, I have been very dedicated to serving the consciousness of people about relationship. And truth is, for me, women are much easier to work with. Let me put it this way. I have heard before that somebody said that women will see women coaches because they want somebody whose shoulder they can cry on. Someone will say, I've been there, I understand you feel, I can tell you what you feel, how you feel. Men see male coaches who basically can show them how to get laid and get dates, because guys look for competition. They want to do the best they can. Mm-hmm. A man will seek a woman coach because he wants someone who can help him understand women. Mm-hmm. And a woman will see a male coach to understand how men work. Mm-hmm. So I work with women. Also because I have, through a large part of my work, been much in a counselor mode. So again, the empathy of the feminine. I've really had a great deal of skill in the counsel area. And a lot of my work is based on understanding people's history to help them change their future. And so it became very clear that part of it was not just about helping women own their power in the feminine, which I'm very passionate about, but also help them stop repeating their patterns from the past so they can change their future.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, a lot of women, I guess, are really shy, because I used to be a love coach as well, and they are really shy with opening up. And so, unlike business coaching, you can do it in a group setting and people will open up, that sort of thing. But in love coaching, people prefer to be hush-hush. So do you find you have challenge with women opening up to you?
Yes and no. Truthfully told, I do offer a 30-minute discovery session at the beginning of working together for two reasons. One, because I want to make sure that they want to work with me, but two, if I want to work with them, because if they're not willing to open up to me and also want to do the work, it doesn't help them for me to work with them. So it works both ways. But a large part also is it creates a safe space. One of my strengths, one of my passions is helping women heal. And I know to do that, I've got to create a very sacred and safe space for them to be with me. So there's no fear, doubt, worry, and they feel safe enough to open up to me, because I know when they open up is where the healing can happen. So absolutely important, yeah.
Right. Actually, I think I used to coach women as well. I think I have to remain really masculine to support their feminine. Right. But for you, it's like it's a natural thing, right?
Well, now it used to be a challenge for me, but it is now. Yes, I was out of alignment with my masculine for many years because I dated powerful women who were in their masculine, and I would be competing with them for that. Right. So I let go and have the leadership, and that messed up the relationship 3 times.
Right. It's really interesting because I used to be really feminine, but feminine in the needy way, like the victim way, you know? And then as I built my business, then I became really masculine, and then my relationship was challenged, and then I've got to just step back. So there's always this balance of feminine and the feminine and the masculine, like you've got to, like, I think a lot of women, they're confused with the energies.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost like a dance, because we all, both men and women, carry both masculine and feminine energy, but we don't usually live in one or the other all the time. We tend to have this dance in between, depending on what we're doing. So it is understanding that, like, in business it's one thing, but in relationship it's different.
Right. So what are the types of women that usually come to you? Like, is there a specific trend?
My avatar. Well, if you want to say my avatar in a way, would be a woman who's really done well in her business because she's very gung-ho, but she's tended to be, and it's the secret, is that she's in a masculine to do it because she's been driven and she's also competing in the men's world. So this drive to succeed has steamrolled her relationship choices. She's either picked men who are very weak because they give up the power, which I did in the past with my partners, being the weaker one, or they basically date men who want to keep battling with them to try and beat them down so that he can feel stronger. And either way, she doesn't get what she wants. She wants a man that she can trust, so she can let go of that burden, in a way, of having the masculine all the time. Because truthfully, most women who do well in business want to take a break sometimes, especially in love. They want a man who will just nurture them so they can relax into their feminine and then go back and fight the dragon the next day.
Actually, it's really interesting I think for women, I speak for myself. At the beginning, I didn't really trust women, but yet I want to help women. It's a very interesting dynamic, but yet I trusted men more, and I could relate with men more because there is no competition between us. But sometimes with my husband always says that the woman's ego is much bigger than the man's. If you want to help women, you got to balance your own ego, and you have to balance your own energy so that you don't see them as competition. I mean, right now in my business, now that I start to collaborate, it's actually my own projection of women. I mean, I've got to heal myself as well. But so that being said, I think for your niche, I mean, for you to serve successful women, it's a fantastic choice because most successful women feel safer with men. to open up. I feel like the men don't judge me. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Because we're different. It's like when you're too close to each other, you start judging, comparing. Well, a man and woman, there's nothing to compare. We're different. So it makes it safer and easier. So I agree with you. Yes, absolutely. It works that way.
So I think it also depends on the woman's stage of life, at where she is. Of course, I look up to very successful women, and I want to be mentored by them and be coached by them. But I think at some space, you also need some kind of male energy to balance you out.
Yes.
Right. I realize at some period of my time, I need the female coach. At some period of time, I need the male coach. So I think there are so little male coaches who are doing what you do. And so I think it's fantastic, because otherwise it's just one tone. It's not very exciting. So what are the challenges that the successful women face? I mean, like, based on your experience.
It's often spending a lot of time in relationships that aren't healthy. A couple of the women coaching have been through sociopathic challenges in terms of their partners were sociopaths, or should say clinically speaking, because the men would see the success the woman was and be so bright, so beautiful, so strong, they almost wanted to leech off them. And they would almost try to consume the energy for themselves up, and leave the woman feeling worn out and used up, which happens quite badly. And for some women, it's been with a narcissist, because that's a pattern that showed up quite a bit in some of my past clients. For some reason, it seems to be not the norm, but it happens quite a bit, because women who are strong scare away the men who aren't strong in themselves, or at least the men who think they're strong. And also, sometimes they end up coming across as ball busters. And some men resent that and want to do something in return, which makes it very messy. So, and to be honest, also with all the social media and smartphone apps and dating sites, there's such an easy access to have a relationship without any sort of quality control, which makes some of the choices pretty bad.
So you're not really a dating coach. You don't teach people how to flirt. You don't teach people. So you basically teach people, the women, how to attract like authentic love.
Yes, but a lot of the work is, as you mentioned earlier, it's not so much it is self-love, but it's more than that. It's really valuing themselves enough to not settle for less than they deserve. That's really the sort of the crux of it. But a lot of it involves really to have a clear vision of what they want that really is authentic and aligned with their heart's desire, but also to, and this is the part that's not so much spoken about because it's the hidden part, and it's really the counseling side, is to really have them make peace with their history, because most of us carry our relationship patterns from childhood into adult life, and it influences and impacts our adult choices unconsciously. So I have to resolve that.
I'm just curious, from a man's point of view, do you think men are threatened by successful women? Like, I mean, the definition of successful woman, she's got the money, she's got the looks, maybe not looks even, but really successful in career, and she just carries herself well, right? And so do you think men are threatened by such women?
Well, yes, and let me give you a couple of pieces. I used to be, certainly, and a lot of men out there are, I know. Especially when a woman drives up in a nicer car than he has, or a better job than he has, or a nicer lifestyle than he has. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, what happens also, some women, when they're so entrenched in that focus, they forget to be feminine, forget to be a woman. And they come across, as I said as before, like a ball buster, or the B word, which I don't want to use here on the air, but it's that sense they carry that around. And men sometimes presume that's what she's about because they don't go below the surface. Mm-hmm. So it'll be true, but the assumption in the male mind is she's doing so well, she doesn't need a man, she doesn't care about men, and therefore she must be a, rhymes with witch.
So, in Singapore, there's so many women who are really successful, and they choose not to get married because, I don't know, I think the men are not stepping up as well. And I don't know, I'm so sorry to say this, but not really very sorry. But, women are just climbing up the ladder. They are showing more of their power, taking more control. And as a result, of course, to us, I'm married, but to be honest, if should anything happen, I don't want to get married again, Right. But so that's our thinking. If I have everything I need, and if a man cannot perform, not sexually, but just in every area as a partner, then why should I settle for less?
That's the truth.
That's a lot of successful women's point of view. Like maybe partners, but not, why should I find a lifelong partner if I have to take care of him like a son?
Well, that's not recommended.
Of course, it's not. That's why so many women are staying single.
Well, that's the thing, is that a lot of women have almost given up because they don't believe they can have it. And the truth is they can, but it requires work to, one, to open up the space, and two, to really know their value for what they're attracting. So they don't settle for less, because they've probably in the past, most women have settled for less. Mm-hmm. So their experience of dating and relationship has been less than they really want. So they don't know they can have what they really want because they haven't stepped up to play that level. Mm-hmm. And it's part of it is that consciousness shift to go, I know what I'm worth. Mm-hmm. I know what I deserve, and I won't settle for less. And in fact, I know I can attract what I deserve. And that's the mindset shift that a lot of my clients have to go through. Mm.
But, you know, in the Asian culture, a lot of us feel like if we're 35 and above, and if we're not married, there's something wrong with us. I'm not sure if the Western culture has the same thing. But for us, it's
not as much, no. But it is definitely, yeah.
But for us, there's something wrong with us. And so sometimes when I used to be a love coach, I would ask, do you want to actually, if you take away the society norm, do you actually want to get married? And a lot of them said, no, I don't. I'm happy being single. But, you know, if I don't have a man and get married, there's something wrong with me. Do your woman, I mean, do the woman come to you, have the same kind of situation?
It's not usually that. It's actually, and it is this dichotomy, because they're torn between the fact of, like, you know, having to settle for less than they deserve, but if they don't choose the right man, they're ruined somehow. But the problem is, what women don't realize, there is a third choice. Mm-hmm. You know, it isn't like settle for less or go without. It's like, no, stand for what you deserve and desire and attract it. Because the thing is, there are men out there, and I'm helping through my own work and also through friends of mine do this work, to create more brotherhood amongst men, so we can actually step into a new level of paradigm from out of the macho mind. Because the thing is, what men have gone through is from the macho mindset into the masculine mindset. And the macho man is what women have been tired of, because they're the bad boys, or the guys who were ego-driven, driven by the balls, my way, the highway, and you have to suffer because I'm in charge. That's the macho way. The masculine man, there's more and more of us around, are really driven from a heart because we have a legacy. So it's a strong direction, a clarity of who we are, but it's about legacy and delivering something to what's important. We want a woman who's going to stand beside us and do the same thing with us. That's a much more heartfelt and, I believe, a higher level and authentic relationship.
I love that. I mean, men should create more brotherhood versus like, I've slept with 5,000 women. How about you? I mean, it's just so ego driven, right? I mean, men.
That's not last millennium.
I mean, gosh, if men could, I think you know why it is. It's like they associate that with effeminate. Like, I don't want to deal with the feminine energy. Like, I don't want to be, wearing, I think that's how, I don't know about the Western, but I think in the Chinese or the Asian culture, the masculine needs to be the macho one, like I don't ask for help because I know it all.
Well, the macho is about competition. It's my way, I'm winning and I'm going to beat you to get the goal. It's like win or lose. The masculine man is a win-win working with brotherhood. And it's about support each other and having our own unique success, but we don't lose because somebody else wins. But the macho man is so tied and wired up that way that it's the old paradigm that I grew up through. It's like, if I win, somebody has to lose for it. If I lose, somebody else is winning. That's not fair. Mm-hmm. I've got to beat them and I've got to win. That's the macho way, which is true with other men and with other women, which is what this whole issue started with.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So do you coach men or just solely women?
I market towards women, but occasionally men do seek me out. I have coached a couple before as well who got married from my coaching. In fact, he and I are closer than she and I are, which is interesting. So I work with men, but again, it does require that willingness to grow. As I said, with the women, the same with the men. And there are a lot of men who I won't work with because they don't do the work. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Those shutting all the men, but it's like a lot of the men out there just want to get a quick fix. They want to get dating advice and find a woman and be happy. It's like it takes more than that, both men and women.
So why do you think men are so reluctant to change? I mean, if you go to a personal development seminar, 90% are all women, right? 10% are men. Yep. So do you think there will ever come a day where it's 50-50?
I wish, and I pray for that. I really do. The challenge has been, again, through the evolution, is that change is a feminine action. The masculine is not so much static, but it has presence and it stays where it is. One of our gifts of the masculine is we hold a presence for the feminine, which is a beautiful thing for her to experience. So change is something that requires movement, which is an energetic, but that's feminine. A lot of men are not willing to do that. They're scared of that, in fact. So to have the willingness to change, and this is another part of it, is change implies to us there was something wrong with us before. And men cannot survive if we think there's something wrong with us. So wiring up inside. Whereas the women have been told over the generations, it's true for minorities as well, and for different gender choices or sexual preferences, that the straight white male was the only subset of humanity that was never told there was something wrong with them. So women were denigrated, unfortunately, or put down or thought of lesser than the men. So women tend to seek out growth because they already are in the mindset, I can be better. But the men have never been told that they need to be better, so they never bothered. You know, I was raised in England, but I come from a Jewish background, which was a minority where I grew up. So I always felt put down somewhat by the regular Christian folks, what do you call that? So I had this, in a way, opening to personal growth built in, because I thought I was less than somebody. But women especially have had that second place experience with men. So most women have more of an opening to desire to grow and learn. That's why Cosmopolitan does so well. The articles help them grow. But it's true in the seminars, in spiritual growth, in any workshops, there are more women than men usually showing up, unless it's a business one. And quite often there's men because they want to compete and get better and do better each time. So,
that explains why the women are getting better while the men are getting stagnant, and then the women are like, why should I settle for less if
exactly,
you know, I mean, I don't need a man to change the light bulb right now. I can always call some guy to change it for me, right?
But when a man can let you off the hook so you can relax occasionally. If a man is dating a woman and he just says to us, look, Friday night, I'll take care of everything. Just be ready at 8 o'clock and wear that red dress. I'll pick you up at 8 o'clock and I'll take care of everything else. Most women will go, really? I can let go of this? And she will actually trust that now. The man's going to step up. Presuming he does, though, she will find a man that she can really enjoy because he's taking care of what he's most to do, which is letting her relax into a feminine whilst he takes care of logistics. That's a dance that works for masculine and feminine. If it's a married couple like yourself or if it's singles, that is one of those pieces that can really change the paradigm.
Actually, to be honest, Barry, I think I speak for myself and the women who are like this because we are control freaks. I'm telling you, right? I mean, I think the men wants to take care of us, but because we are such a control freak that we just kind of like train our men to, why should I bother when she can take care of everything?
And to be brutally frank, that's a limited possibility. There's more possibility out there if you wish to embrace it and allow a greater dance. And there's also a polarity of sexual chemistry as well that is created by this. So there can actually be more joy in the relationship and passion in the bedroom when there's more of this polarity being played out in masculine and feminine. So
it's I know. I mean, it's just a battle. And I think, the thing is, I think most single women think that the moment they get married, then everything is love, but it's not. That's when the work begins. I've been together.
Well, it doesn't. When they get married, the work doesn't stop. I'll put it that way.
Exactly. Yes. So most women think like, I need to find a man and then that's it. I can live happily ever after. But that's when the real work happens because that fairy tale sort of like ends.
The chemistry wears off. The honeymoon phase is complete, and then let's get down to the work. Because the other part, I talked about this before in one of my interviews. I said that the challenge that people face is that when they meet someone online or in person, however it works, they start to fall in love with that person, and everything's wonderful and chemistry is beautiful, and it's just everything goes perfectly right. Nothing goes wrong. What happens though is as we fall in love with each other and our hearts open up, when our hearts open up, all of our crap from our history starts to show up. And that's when the work begins. Because when your heart is opening, it's like the walls come down. And what's behind the walls is all your history that hasn't been resolved yet. So if you don't do the work on your own with a coach or in a seminar or a workshop, your partner becomes your coach in the area of being the reflector of your stuff. So when the walls come down for you and your partner, your history comes up. And that's what we've got to work through. And if you don't work through that, as I know in the past of my experience, the relationship tends to end or suffer because we're not healing what's in the way of us loving more and more.
Right. So before we go, I mean, I believe this ratio, it's kind of like universal. Divorce rates are going higher and higher, regardless of culture. My culture is the same, and I think in the West it's even more.
It's only 50% first round divorce and 70% second round divorce, even more.
So, what's your advice? I mean, nobody goes into a relationship thinking I'm going to divorce, right? Nobody.
Very strange people do, but not very often. No.
None, right? But yet the divorce rates are so freaking high. So what's your advice to people? Because we all want long-lasting love for everyone,
Absolutely.
Right? So what advice do you have for men and women?
I recommend, frankly, anybody who's looking for a long-term relationship, before they get into a relationship and before they get married, both times, they should be seeking counsel from somebody, whether it's their priest, a minister, a coach, a counselor, somebody who can either work with them directly themselves before they get in a relationship, or if they're getting ready to get married with somebody before they get married, have a conversation with a third party who can really see where they're at. I'd rather see you spend an hour a week for a month doing that than spending an hour a week for a month seeing a divorce attorney.
Right.
You know, in some Western religion choices, like Christians, in a lot of churches, they do say that you got to meet the minister before you get married, because part of their job is to make sure you two people want to get together for the right reasons, and hopefully will ferret out any discrepancies where things are not being looked at, where there's some hidden agendas or sort of for untold stories of things that are going to get in the way later on. So by doing that first, you can have a much more likelihood of stacking the deck in your favor for future love.
Oh, speaking of religion, you know what's worse? I think it's about sticking together because of religion. And oh my God.
I just saw an article recently, which I was commented on through a trending topic, about someone who's more right-wing traditional Christian upbringing in America. And he's a celebrity. And his bullet points about relationship and how men and women should be, I said, I want to smack this guy upside the head. It was so disrespectful of women, because I'm very passionate. I mean, I'm a champion of the feminine. After doing this work I've done with these teachers I work with, it really changed my perspective. And I value women so much in their feminine that any man who challenges that is like, you got to face me first, this whole because it's so inappropriate. So yes, there is so much that we can shift. And the paradigm that's been in place for many generations, it's time to end it and start the new paradigm, which is about men and women respecting each other as equals but different. And that's where the future, I hope, goes.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I mean, I people perceive me as a feminist, but to be honest, I think if men and women see each other as a human being, then there's no need for labelings.
Right.
And of course, I'm a champion for women too, right? I mean, because women needs to step up and empower themselves, not because we want to compete with men, but you want to be a better woman. You want to be a better version of yourself because you're entitled to. Not
ideally,
because,
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think I truly believe men and women, if they just see each other as human beings, then none of this competition, like I'm better than you, I make more than you, would, even exist. So there's no need for labeling.
That's the ideal. I agree with you. But unfortunately, people out there don't know that yet.
So there are people like you who are championing women, I mean, women helping women, it's kind of like a norm, So do you actually face, challenges because you are championing women?
You mean from men?
For men, yeah.
No, actually, I don't, because actually what happens is most of my social community and my conscious community are fairly conscious people anyway. The people who find out my work, a lot of the women who know me, I'm called the love doctor affectionately by my friends and by my clients. The men want to find out my secrets, not as a bad thing, but they're like, how do you get to know women so well? And because they want to learn, and then what's happening is the good thing is it's more curiosity. So there's not threat by it. They're more intrigued by it, which is good. But there are some men out there, frankly, and I know because I've witnessed a couple of them, who avoid me completely because they know I can see through their mask, and they're scared to face me. And that's not like say I'm better than them, but I've done enough work where my intuition is stronger and my sense of who people are is very present. So I get to witness people and see how they behave and just know what's going on. And some people don't feel safe with that because they're afraid to face their demons. It's
interesting you use the word intuition, because intuition and men usually don't go hand in hand.
As I mentioned earlier, I spent quite a bit of time on my feminine over the years in my counseling work and going through psychology background. And having this innate spiritual practice is really, not intentionally, but as a side effect, open up my intuitive sense. And it's not anywhere as strong as most women's are, but it's way ahead of most men. Because most men don't even.
So going back to what you said, do you think men are actually afraid of personal development because they are afraid to find out who they really are?
Part of that is true. And also part of them want to stay safe. Men aren't willing to risk. They're willing to risk physically, but not willing to risk emotionally. That's the problem of a lot of men doing this work, because when you do this personal growth work, that's the danger zone, is the emotional expression. And most men are comfortable with that.
Right. What I understand is men are better in business because they can compartmentalize their emotions. Is that true?
But women can do that too. which
it requires work.
but what happens if women get into masculine to do that? So yes, it's a male ability to sing, because what we can do as men, which women are not as good at, is we're good at single focus. Women have the ability to multitask rather well. Men don't. We are good at one thing at a time. So if we're working on business, we haven't got space for the emotions, they get put aside. So it's not so much compartmentalizing as is ignoring it once we focus on business.
Right.
And if we get caught up emotionally, we lose focus of our business. So it's kind of like we can only one thing in our sights at one time.
So therefore, men cannot speak and tie their shoelaces at the same time, right?
Or have a conversation with you when they're watching TV. Exactly, yes.
Right. Interesting. I think women need to learn that single focus in their business. I think that's the only one skill that we probably need to learn from the men, because women tend to get really emotional when it comes to business. You know, people unsubscribe from their list and like, oh my God, why? Okay, I used to do that, right? But nothing is personal. I mean, the men know. I mean, you know, right? Nothing is personal in business. So I think the business women out there who are listening to this is the only one skill that you need to do away from the men. That is to be single, be focused, just that. Like, it's not about you.
However, for women, one of the best skills they have is their emotional sensitivity, because they can make them better negotiators and better salespeople to reach in and feel where their clients are and where their prospects are. And by having that skill, which men don't have as well developed, they can be more effective. Well, shouldn't have said that out loud.
But actually, I think men are better negotiators because they don't have emotions.
No, they're dispassionate. You're right. Yeah, just numbers.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's fascinating. I think with men, they are so, I think we will call them ruthless, but they're just so functional in the business. Okay, it's like, the number is just a number. But when the woman comes up with the numbers, like, oh my God, I shouldn't be charging this. Who am I? But the men are just like, this is it, take it or leave it. And they actually get things done. Right. But the women are like, oh, you know, who am I to charge $20?
It's true. Yeah.
Gosh. So thank you, Barry, so much for this session. So let me ask you one final question. Like, what is the number one advice you would give to any women? Like right now, we don't know who are gonna listen to this. Like in regards to women taking control over their love life. What's the number one advice you can give them?
Number one is don't let your past dictate your future. You can have what you want, and with support, you can heal your past. It doesn't override your future choices. There's a few other ones. That's one of the biggest ones in my awareness right now.
Tell us more about that. What do you mean by let the past?
Well, let me give you a little. This actually is psychological studies, and there's a teacher. There's a professor named Bruce Lipton who wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. And in that book, and it's actually he talks about stuff that I've talked about before too, which I was kind of like, wow, he talks about the same thing. In our consciousness, we have conscious mind and a subconscious mind, like an iceberg. Conscious mind is 5% above the surface, and the subconscious mind is 95% below the surface. Hang on, I've had allergies today, so I'm sneezing a lot. Excuse myself for a moment. So, in our youth, from age 0 to 7 years old, our subconscious mind is like a sponge. Our conscious mind is not online yet, because that's the frontal cortex, which is not present in our functioning ability. But our mammalian brain, our regular midbrain, is functional the whole time. So when we're born, when we come in without any user manuals or how-to guides, we learn about the world for the first 7 or 8 years of our life as a sponge. Everything around us is the way it's supposed to be, with money, health, relationships especially, physical fitness, any of those things. We look at the adults around us, who are the gods because they're big people, and think that what they're doing is the way relationships should be. And that becomes the law in our universe. And around 7, 8 years old in our lives, our conscious mind, which is our frontal cortex, comes online. And there's two functions. It's our free will, and it's the guardian at the gate of our subconscious mind. So from that point forward, our conscious mind takes over and makes choices and filters through what goes into our subconscious. However, there's 7 or 8 years worth of history stored away in the subconscious, like the iceberg below the surface. So when, and this is true for men and women, but when a single person starts looking at dates, they may go and look at all the prospective lists on Match.com or some other social media site and see all the, I want somebody who's this, and this. But what they attract looks like that, but below the surface is all the subconscious programming they were raised with. So when they date somebody, they start finding the person they're dating that reminds them of their parents, their father or mother, or something in their past, because that's the programming that they say, well, when they were a kid, their father was always working and ignored them. So their way of relating to love was through being ignored. So they'll attract a partner who does the same thing on some level, whether it's through alcohol, video games, TV, or absentee. They will start to experience the same feeling inside that they saw as a kid with their parents. That's one of those unfortunate things where I believe that certain behaviors, like even abuse or other things like that, are hereditarily passed along by behavior, not by mindset. It's just that we watch it, observe it, and we learn from it. So, I mean, it's kind of the heavy stuff, but the truth is most of my clients, and I was true for myself, my dating life was impacted by my childhood experience. So until that's resolved, it will continue to play out automatically because it's below the surface.
Right.
The largest part of our awareness is subconscious. So if you imagine, like, if you're driving the car and you're the conscious mind and you've got 5% of the power in the car going one way, and the subconscious mind has got 95% of the power going the other way, that's going to go more easily. And that's your 7-year-old driving your relationship choices. That's not going to be pretty.
Exactly. Cool. So where can we find you, and where can the audience learn more about you and your work?
Sure. The easy way to do is find my website, which is my name. So if you go to barryselby.com, my site's there, which it is in need of some overhaul. It looks pretty boring to me now after all seeing it the same for so many years. But there's some videos on there, and there's online programs, coaching, discovery sessions, all sorts of stuff on my site. Cool. And all social media is the same as well. Social media is all Barry Selby.
Cool. Or you can find him in the Spiritual Entrepreneurs group and start a thread or conversation with him. And so, just a curiosity, I mean, how did you find the Spiritual Entrepreneurs? Are you enjoying your time in the Spiritual Entrepreneurs group?
It's fascinating, to be honest. I think I'm trying to remember who I found it through. Maybe through one of my Periscope groups. I've been very active on Periscope for the last 8 months. And a couple of the people in one of the groups, I think, joined that group and said, just come and join us.
Oh.
And so I found it through them. I think it was one of the people I follow, Katia Valvanosa, who is one of my friends in one of my Periscope groups. She's in the group, and I think some other friends of mine are too.
Wow.
So, yeah. I didn't actually know, frankly, there were so many women compared with men. So I was actually surprised. So I didn't know I was one of the few men. I feel very honored.
Yeah, you are one of the few indeed. I think, you're the second man that I interviewed. So can you imagine, like, it's still a very small ratio. So I'm super excited, I think women should also get to know more about men because our perception, our mind, it's different. We think differently. And when we can sort of like mastermind and find out more about each other. I always say superstitious is the cause of the lack of knowledge. So instead of guessing what the men think, why don't you just ask them? Like, go ask them. Go ask them, just ask. I think the thing with women is we're so afraid of asking. Like, there's something wrong with us. We're so shy. And, this happened to me when I was so much younger. I didn't have the confidence. And I think I don't want to sound stupid, but you will only feel stupid if you feel stupid about yourself. And I ask dumb questions anyway, but because I really genuinely don't understand. And the men would never think that I'm dumb. In fact, they actually feel so much better about themselves. Like, oh, I can help her now. So,
one of the quotes I remember in some of the seminars I took years ago was there's no dumb questions, just dumb assumptions. And it's so true.
Mm-hmm. To be honest, there are stupid questions. I'm not saying that there isn't. There are.
Right, but if you make assumptions, you're guaranteed to make guesses.
Right. You don't ask the question, like, I don't know what kind of dumb question. Why is the apple red? Or why is the apple called apple? You can probably go Google that. I don't know, but...
Well, that's the easy way, yeah.
But the thing is, like with Google, right? Google is a tool search engine. If you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answer. So there's the same thing. If you ask smart questions, you'll get smart answers. If you ask the right question, you get the right answer. So don't ask questions like, oh, why am I still poor? Of course, I know what kind of answer you get.
Ask directional questions where you want to go. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, women, if you actually want to get to know more about men, go ask the men directly, like, what exactly are you looking for, instead of just guessing and, oh my God, I can't go on a second date and blah, blah, blah. Go ask the men. So thank you so much, Barry, for your time. It's really fascinating. And I'm so, I am going to check you out because of the work that you do. There are so few men who, actually teach love to women, which is rare. So go check him out. And thank you so much. So This is another wonderful episode, as you can see. So come back for another episode where I interview more gems in the industry where they are just looking around in the Spiritual Entrepreneurs Group. So thank you so much for joining us. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.